From the Bob Mills Weather Center, meteorologist Stephen Nehrenz.
As we mentioned earlier, kind of a rough and tumble morning, quite literally, across parts of green country. We had one storm that was severe that rolled across Tulsa, East Tulsa, Broken Arrow, 2:30 this morning, had quarter to golf ball size hail. We had another cluster of storms that came out of Osage County, Washington County, and just barreled down towards Claremore and Pryor and Adair, where there was some wind damage around Pryor, Adair, and Claremore with some 60, 65 mile an hour winds. One picture from Houston, Britain, there in Pryor, you can see, I don't know if it's an RV or some other sort of large vehicle there that's been tipped over by the wind. And we did have reports of a few power poles that were snapped or damaged, kind of Pryor, Adair vicinity, some tree damage in Claremore as well, and some power outages from that this morning. And also, again, as I mentioned, some large hail. One of those early morning storms, like 3:45 this morning, Watts in far eastern Oklahoma had, those are some big chunks of hail. This was in Westville from Jake Bass as well. And then the 2:30 a.m. storm here in the Tulsa Metro also produced quarter to golf ball size hail, as I mentioned, from Tulsa, East Tulsa, and a Broken Arrow, and some oddly shaped hail as well. This can often happen. Those hails very rarely, if ever, just, a perfectly smooth shape. That was from Chris and Caitlin in East Tulsa. Different look now, right? We've got sunshine, a few clouds bubbling up during the heating of the day. Temperatures, again, are very nice. It's warm. It may feel a little sticky because dew points are up and there's very little wind. So despite some of the rain this morning that can kind of mix things up, it is back to an ozone alert here in the Tulsa Metro this afternoon, which means that air quality is likely going to diminish on us during the late afternoon, early evening hours. If you're particularly sensitive to that, I want you to be aware. Temperatures recovering from the rain-cooled air of this morning. We had a little outflow boundary right in here. This is going back to about 9, 10 o'clock. Outflow boundary from those storms that finally moved out of here, that sunk south, and then the clouds behind it that have faded away in northeastern Oklahoma. So low mid-70s, Miami and Bartlesville. You're cooler at the lunchtime hour. Tulsa, though, we're about 80, low 80s in southeastern Oklahoma. There are still some severe weather risks to come later today and over the next few days. Highs for the day first, low 80s north of Tulsa up into southeast Kansas, mid-80s in the metro to Coweta and Wagner and Tahlequah, and then some mid to upper 80s once you get down towards Henrietta and Hannah, McAllister, Wilburton, Stigler. Winds, again, very light area wide. All right, let's walk you through the severe weather risks really quickly here. So later today into tonight, there is still a small chance, low-end chance, that a few more isolated strong to severe storms develop. It looks like that severe risk may be slightly higher in southeastern Oklahoma, but even up here around Tulsa, not out of the question, late afternoon, early evening, that we could see 1 or 2 strong storms. The rest of today, though, there's a much more significant risk for severe weather across the deep south, which is a bit unusual for this time of year. Early spring or so, if we get from February to March, even April, southeast United States can have this. But this is a little unusual for June to have a significant wind, hail, tornado risk from Louisiana and Mississippi to Alabama. If you have family and friends in those areas, make sure they're staying weather aware. Tomorrow, we kind of reload again. We're quiet for most of the day. And then Thursday, late Thursday, Kansas, northwestern Oklahoma, we're watching for another complex of severe storms to develop. And then that will head our way late Thursday night into early Friday morning, with once again a threat that some of those could be severe. So the active pattern continues through the afternoon. As I just mentioned, low 80s to upper 80s, depending on your location. A little warmer to the south. We'll be watching a couple areas. Southeast Kansas, Oklahoma-Kansas state line. Could see a couple spotty storms here. And then also southeastern Oklahoma could see 1 or 2 strong to severe storms this evening. Notice low coverage overall. Most of us should miss out. But as you've seen with these storms the past few days, if you get under one, it'll be pretty noticeable. We're anticipating right now that moves out overnight, and we're mostly quiet in the morning. That's what we're hoping. Lows in the 60s. Highs tomorrow, a little warmer, upper 80s and some low 90s. And then just briefly, so you can see this, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, this is what we're anticipating, kind of a more organized squall line to come moving out of western and central Oklahoma into eastern Oklahoma. Again, that would be late Thursday night, very early Friday. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Upper 80s Friday, low 90s Saturday, another complex of storms Saturday night, into Sunday morning. And then it looks like storm chances may start to diminish as we head into early next week.